Okay, everyone, this is going to begin now. Just so everyone know, we're going to start with the president candidates, then the secretary candidates, then debates convener, schools convener, because those are all the contested races. Then we'll go to the uncontested positions. That'll be Con, Sheila, Kerry, Claire. For the president candidates, they're going to speak for 4 minutes each. And for the officer, all other officer candidates are going to speak for 3 minutes each. After each set of candidates has spoken, we'll ask for some questions from the floor. So, for instance, after both president candidates have spoken, I'm going to ask for some questions. We'd ask that ideally questions should be directed towards both. It should be a question that can be answered by both candidates, but it's also okay to ask a question of just one if you want to know some policy that they have or some plan that they have, stuff like that. And then for questions, maximum answer will be 2 minutes, but ideally they'd be a lot shorter than that. I mean, a lot of questions I'm sure can just be answered in a few words or 20 or 30 seconds or something. So the first, and we'll just do it by alphabetical order of surname within races. So the first candidate speaking will be Emer Gorey for the office of president. And just so you know, we'll do the bell at the end of each allotment.
Okay, so I had an entirely different speech written this time yesterday, and then something happened last night that I rewrote the entire thing. And the thing that happened was that I got a message from Hugh being like, your manifesto file is too big and we can't put it up on the website, and some of the photos might be a bit blurry. And like, although this is like a tiny thing and it's really insignificant, I found myself like in the bathroom being like with tears like welling up in my eyes, and I was like looking into the mirror and I was like, Emer, why are you so upset? This is such an insignificant thing. Get a grip. And like it is a tiny thing, but the answer to that question is the answer that forms the basis to the speech and the basis of my entire involvement in the bill, and that thing is simply that I really care about it. So the bill is just a big mass of people that care about each other, and we inspire each other to do work, and if we don't care about one another, then that work doesn't get done. Having a leader that really cares about the bill, like fosters a culture where people feel like they can just ask for that what they want to do, and people feel really empowered by that. And I've actively been that kind of leader for a year, and like Sheila and Claire, you can tell that we all really, really care about being students. And I think if they can like come to me and ask me to do whatever project they want to do, meaning that they have a better time on council, and I think that's a form of good leadership. Like, second thing I think that's really important with leading is like being able to have emotional intelligence. And that's a talent and not a skill that can be learned. And that's something that I learned very on in the field that I have. And I ask people how they are because I'm not afraid of the answer. And I'm never awkward with people. And regardless of what conversations I'll have to have with people, I'm capable and I'm well placed to deal with that. In terms of learning curve, like I can learn any skill because I'm not afraid of the challenges that I face because I care about the skill and I will do anything for it. For this election, like I learned to use Photoshop, and that was like a really long and tenuous road. So it was not very nice, but I did it because I care. And like if I need to gain new skills, then that's what I'm going to do. No officership is a step up to pres. No officership is like a direct correlation or a direct step up. It's going to be a learning curve, but it's something that I'm really excited for and prepared for. And the president has to be adaptable and quick at learning. And I think that's something that Teams 2 always does. Like our events are so varied and so diverse. We deal with so many people on such a regular basis that we have to be prepared for the inevitable. And I'm ready to do that as president. So my in terms of experience, so I've had the pleasure to work with every single team on council, and I have a vested interest in every team. Like I don't have like 15 schools or 15 DC because I've like nothing better to do on that weekend. I do it because I care about the work that we do and I care about the society. Like I've managed budgets of like cumulatively, I say nearly up to 15,000 this year. Like I care about every single team on council and know how I can support them. In terms of sponsorship, like I've shown that I can sell the fill, and the reason I can do that is because I'm genuinely really passionate about everybody in it and genuinely passionate about the work that we do. Like organising on-pots, like I have the skill, like I've organised guests, but freely more, organising on-pots is different to organising other guests. And what I've done is I've spoken to all of the previous presidents that I could find, that I could get my hands on, and like I'm basically taking out every piece of information that I could about them. And like I'm prepared to do that, and I have the experience with logistics. In terms of my manifesto, which I would urge you all to read, because that like shows you the experience that I have and confidence that I have as opposed to this speech, which is about heart. Like that is a set of promises. Look back on the manifestos of last year. Look back on the promises that I made you. I have delivered on every single one of them because they're promises that I make not only to you, but to fulfill to myself. And I care about you all so much that if I didn't do those manifestos, I wouldn't be happy, like as an officer, and I wouldn't be happy in sales. Like I promised to do everything that I stood by, like from getting sponsorship to like having great on-pots, like working on like GM agreement in college. Like my final thought that I'm going to leave you with is that like, people never remember what you say and what you do, but they do remember the feeling that you leave them with. And I hope that I've left everybody in this room with the feeling that they want to come back and they want to come back and talk to me. And I think that's what I'm good at. I care about every single person in this room. I care about every one of our 10,000 members, and that is why I'm growing. So I care about this society. It's my greatest strength. It motivates me, it motivates my team, it motivates people around me and creates a positive working environment. And that is why I want to be a great leader. That's the Phil that I envision. That's the Phil that I will deliver on if you give me your vote. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Emer, and Matthew Newton.
Ladies and gentlemen of the University Philosophical Society, ladies and gentlemen, having been on council for 2 years, I've seen the ways in which the society works really well and ways we could improve. I think we need to sustain the energy created by the fantastic events that take place in this building and further enhance that experience. So what do I want to do as president? First, I want to completely revamp the website. It's my main priority in terms of change for society, and I'm willing to outsource it to make it as professional as possible. The website is often the first impression guests have of the society, and it may be a decisive factor in terms of whether they'll accept our invitation. Our website needs to be updated to display the phenomenal work that goes on in our society, particularly of that over the last 3 years. I want a section of all the recent on-pats, quotes from the time here, and videos of the debates that we've held. Second, I want to invest in top-class video and audio recording equipment. The Cambridge Union has multiple cameras for guests and speakers, and there's no reason why we couldn't do similar. I think we arguably create better quality events and more interesting, and yet if you were to compare our online presence, they would beat us by a mile. Getting the videos online and in top quality would spread the reach of our society and get people talking all over the world about the phenomenal work that we do here. We can do this for speakers, we can do this for debates, and we can do this for panel discussions. Thirdly, I want to update the whole building. I want new photos in the council room, new photos in Convo, new posters along the stairs. It's something I've been saying all year now, and I'm beginning to sound like a broken record, so we just want to get done. As well as that, I want to invest in new couches for Bram and doing up the resource room in particular, which would allow more societies to rent out that room. I will work with buildings over the summer to fix that chip at the back of the chimney. So one of the most important roles, I believe, of president is, and one of the most important things I think that needs to be sustained is the honored patronages of guests. So I want to continue hosting the wonderful honored patrons and speakers that have graced this chamber. Without these high-profile guests, often a massive selling point of Freshers Week, we wouldn't have half as many members as we do. And on-pots don't happen with no effort. They require more than the ability to send an email, because anyone can send an email. It requires the skill to persuade agents and publicists of potential on-pots, and of course the on-pots themselves, that it's worth their time coming to visit our society and receiving our award. It requires negotiation skills to persuade them to do it at an affordable budget, because we simply wouldn't have the funds to fly every single guest on first-class flights from America. And it requires a bit of cheek as well in terms of finding email addresses and get talking to the right person. On top of that, I want to invite a great diversity of on-pots, much like I did as secretary for Thursday night debates. And I want to bring back the Phil inaugural, seeing the president deliver an address alongside a high-profile guest. I believe I'm best placed to take over the role, having been pro-secretary and secretary. This year alone, I organised over 40 guests directly. People can often take for granted the work that goes into a Thursday night debate because all they see is the speakers in front of them. But so much more goes on behind the scenes. What you don't see is the months of hard work slaving over the computer screen in the summer months and coming up to the debate. You don't see the conversations that go on with potential guests that may not work out. You don't see the organization that goes into booking that speaker's accommodation, booking that speaker's travel, and the evening meal prior to the debate. No matter how hard it may have been, and believe me, it was hard, in any situation that may have been stressful, I always kept my cool. I always stayed positive. I never shouted at anyone in council, I never intend to. Positivity is what I worked into my team with Tom and Izzy, hard work, but fun work. Because we're not enjoying what we're doing, and we shouldn't be doing it at all. That's what I want to take to Council 332. I want to make sure everyone is having a good time. I want to make sure that whenever someone feels like it's too much, they have someone to talk to, and that they know that they can take a few days off. If they can't do their MC duties for a week, I'm very prepared to stand in and do it for them. Of course, I'll continue to do the tradition of putting myself in MC duties. I want to bring good vibes to council meetings, including fun hangouts after for council to bond. So just to finish, like as a wide-eyed, eager fresher, I walked through the door of the GMB and Phil welcomed me with open arms. You all made me feel special. You made me feel appreciated. You gave me friends that I'll have for life and memories I'll cherish forever. The Phil shaped me the person I am today, as well as defining my time here in Trinity. I never would have imagined back then as a fresher that 3 years later I'd be running for president of this wonderful society. But here I am, standing in front of you, asking for your vote for president. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Both candidates want to just sit up there to ask some questions. And does anyone want to raise your hand if you have a question? And again, we'd encourage questions to be asked for both candidates, but it's also okay to ask one just one candidate. Mike.
So I think this year there was a lot more collaboration with the societies and the big bodies and community. So I was just wondering, is that something you want to continue next year? And if so, what kind of ideas do you have and what plans do you have for doing that?
Just want to answer first.
That's something that I have, like one of the main focuses I have, particularly in my manifesto and career, is further on some collaboration. I think collaborations can bring one of the most high quality events, can create some high quality events. It brings people in that wouldn't otherwise be here. One of the most fantastic things, like the 96 Festival with players, it brought people in that wouldn't have come into a Thursday night debate and brought them back as well and got them interested. So like plans I'd have is just to kind of like continue that. And like I've worked with so many different societies. I was on Sophia, I was on TAF. I have friends and players of VP and everything, and loads of other societies. So I'm really excited to continue that and break down that image of the film just being funny for me.
So I think collaboration serve two main purposes. So the first thing is to break down the image, like Matthew said. But the second thing is sort of to serve as a platform for ordinary members to get involved with. And my idea of the film is to get the maximum amount of empowerment for the maximum amount of people. So obviously, like working on collabs, like myself and Ludwig were on the University Challenge kind of thing. Using the Phil as a platform to help other societies is really, really important. And I think that shows that we're involved in college life. And I think that when we go to college asking for things, that like stands in our favor and definitely looks really good. But it also makes people really happy on the ground. So I think, like more debate, more collaborations in terms of like Team Stew, like Team Sec, like basically I would sit down with the offices and be like, what's your vision of the Phil? Do you think that you could like do some collaborations? How do you think we can achieve that? And make sure that everyone's happy about the way that we're doing that.
Is there any other questions?
Do either people are taking a year off for it?
Yeah.
We have time still for more questions. Last opportunity. Okay, we'll move on to the Secretary of Candidates.
Two minutes of interview. Okay, so I don't really much of the public speaking, so this is going to be pretty loose. But last year, certainly when I was looking at all the manifestos, there's a lot to take in. I didn't really read on them, so I'm going to give you like a brief overview of why I think that you should use your vote for secretary. So the first thing that the secretary has to do an enormous amount of work constantly. Okay, so like you're always emailing guests, you're always thinking of new motions, like you have to organize a big event every week. And this year as vice president, of course, my big thing was maidens. That was 9 weeks of constantly working like 40 hours extra on top of my course, and then like all the work in the summer that went on top of that. Okay, so there was things like emailing people who'd never done debating before and convincing them to sign up. Like I think that's very transferable to like emailing guests and getting them to speak here. And like crafting motions, I'm very aware that I wasn't like the best motion developer at the time, so I reached out to like old film members. I reached out to people who knew more and like were able to give me like good feedback on that. So my ideas for getting guests, I have a lot of experience like in New York Store. Every time that we've had to get like a guest conductor or like a soloist or something, I'm always in CSC like as the tech manager. I was always like emailing, like organizing their hotels and organizing their accommodation and their transport and stuff. And I think I had the skills necessary to bring that sector. My main thing that I really want to work on is workshops. I think that we have a huge amount of institutional knowledge in Phil, and the only way that we really work past that down effectively is if we do run workshops. What I plan to do is get people like maybe like lecturers or like senators or good public speakers to come in and to give those workshops. We could record those, we could have them. I'd be very willing to like set up like montage clips and like some PDF docs so that we would just send it to anyone who's interested in doing a term debate, so that they have like the preparation necessary to make it easier for anyone. Okay. I want to put on the oratory returns. I think we have a great opportunity there to put like the whole term card, any upcoming Phil events, a space for feedback, a space to sign up. So there's one less barrier between you sitting in here one day and standing up here in the next. And I think it's a lot easier for them to actually sign up. I think we'll get a whole lot more participation, and I think we'll get more people like doing good stuff here. I want to really develop like my pros. I would give them, I would give anyone on council the opportunity to help out organizing the secretary, organize their seminar today, so they are equipped when they go on. If they want to run for secretary, they'll be able to do that. They'll have had experience. I don't want it just to be the pro secretaries that get to do that. If anyone wants to do it, I'm willing to do it. Okay, I think I really want to work on collaborative events. I have a lot of experience working with a lot of different societies and through like the other societies I'm committee members of, even through Kieran's campaign. I met with a lot of people. I met with a lot of college facilities, global relations office, like inquiries, you name it. I've had the connections with these people and make it one step easier for them to like get involved. And it just means all the experience we've gotten just makes us hit the ground running a lot easier. I wear this t-shirt with a lot of pride because this t-shirt represents all of us and represents more than us. I'll never apologize for having a great amount of enthusiasm with Phil. I'd love to bring that. I'd love to bring the relaxed, the organized vibe that I brought to Maidens. I'd love to bring that to the role of secretary. Thanks very much.
When I first walked into the doors of the GMB last year, I never could have dreamed of meeting the people that I've met, of having the experiences that I've had, and getting the opportunities that I've had for being involved in it. And you've no idea how much pride and joy it gives me to be able to stand here in this podium and genuinely feel that I am the best candidate to be your secretary next year. My goal as secretary is to get more people into the GMB, to raise the profile of facing our debates, and to make debates as great as possible, so that the GMB really is the only place worth being on a Thursday evening. And there are a few really great ways of doing that, and the experience to back up those ideas. So first of all, the most important job of the secretary is to set really great motions that people want to go to see. And they need to be really exciting and fresh, and open the doors for an interesting deep debate. Speaking in the Dumbledore debate this year was a really empowering experience for me, because that was something that really mattered a lot to me personally. And that's an experience that I want to bring to as many people as possible, because those are debates that people genuinely want to go to see. I'm going to set motions that people have personal involvement with, that people have really deep reasons why they feel the way they do, and where they're able to give those experiences to an audience and make people genuinely think about them and genuinely feel things about those debates. I'm going to personally contact students and staff and leaders of organizations in Ireland and stuff from a variety of backgrounds and disciplines to find out what they want to talk about, what issues matter to them, and give them a platform to talk about those issues and give them a platform to say what they want to say. I'm going to go through old attendance records and things like that to find out what debates people actually care about, what debates people actually like. And I find out what people have been interested in the past, and we can use that knowledge in the future to set the best debates. Second of all, guests. I think probably the second most important job that the secretary has is making sure that the debates have good guests so that they're as enriching and deep as possible. I have a ton of experience from being president this year in inviting guests and dealing with guests. That was basically all I did all year. I was only on council for 4 months. In those 4 months, I single-handedly organised 2 of the biggest events of the year. First of all, the Drag On, which was nominated for Best Event at CSC Awards this year, and Hosier's Rompot, which was attended by like around 400 people, making it one of the 2 biggest Rompots of the year. I talked down agents from the Mali speaker fees. I organised flights and hotels and did hotel drop-offs and airport pickups. I've done on-pop walk-ins and Ricky and I'm using slideshow for them when they're on stage, which is cool. I was a friendly face with no worries attitude, and I genuinely think I made guests feel comfortable and welcome in the film, and that I was a person who they knew they could trust and they could go to about issues. I've confirmed every single guest I contacted this year, which took a lot of work behind the scenes. It took a lot of effort in just not taking no for an answer and like finding a way that we can make the event work for them. And I know that I have the experience and skills to invite and confirm some amazing guests next year. Finally, student speakers, because I know personally how enriching public speaking is and how like much confidence and like just genuinely great things it can make. So I want to break down as many barriers as possible to change speaking, and I want to unlock the DMD. I'm going to get signed up sent around to relevant courses and societies. I'm going to introduce a nomination system so you can nominate your friends who I can then contact and say 17 people who think your class, why not try speaking? I'm going to run workshops specific to upcoming chamber debates that people struggle with, and for women and first-time speakers who are a really important demographic that we target. And I'm going to personally contact people who I think would be good speakers, ask them to speak if they haven't signed up already. I think it's also incredibly important that we talk about the gender balance in the chamber as much as possible this year. And that we don't just have the same like set of women who are always speaking in the chamber. I think we need to get as diverse a range of people as possible, and that's something I really want to focus on. This time last year, I was an emotional wreck on the floor of Brown because I didn't get an pencil. I didn't think I had any skills I could bring to the fill, and I didn't think I would ever get the chance to give back to the fill a fraction of what it taught me. I don't think over the past year I could have proved myself any more wrong, and I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to have another year to prove that I can do it again. Thank you very much.
So like my question is to you, so like what do you guys why do you guys think like to make kind of attendance drops off after Christmas, and then like what will you do?
Yeah, so I think the most important factor of debate attendance is that people genuinely care about debates and that they genuinely want to go to see debates. And like debating is something that's really exciting in first term because people don't kind of have a lot of experience with it and it doesn't seem that interesting to them. So I think that's kind of where those two things interact, is that you really have to have the most interesting debates on the most personal topics in the second term. I think it's also really important that you stretch out to as many kind of other societies and other bodies to try to get people from outside of the GMB thinking about the GMB after Christmas. I think that's a really good way to kind of involve people when they're kind of looking for other stuff to do after making a sense. So I think that's really important. I come from a smaller society myself. I was on French Talk Committee this year. I know that people just don't feel like they can do events with bigger societies. I feel like they think they need like really close personal connections with fellow people. So I'm going to sit down personally with as many like chairs of small societies, as many people involved in small societies. I have loads of mates in small societies. It's great. So I'm going to sit down with those people and ask them if they want to do events. I'm going to try to hold events outside of just the like personal parameters, get them to hold events on their own terms. I think that's a really great way to just kind of involve people and get debates up in the second term.
I suppose on top of what Mike said, I think a lot of the reason that people don't come back is because they feel that they can engage, and that kind of goes on to what I was saying about how we'll make it easier for people to actually participate in it. So the workshops I run would be like more like interactive. It wouldn't be just like somebody coming in and like talking about how you public speak. Like I'd say like maybe like you could get people like prep things and then they come in and critique. They get actual feedback, and then they'd be able to like sign up for motions on top of that, so they'd be relevant to that. And then like if they're interested in speaking, like some of the resources that I'm talking about, like the videos and the PDFs, so that they actually do have like an idea of how to public speak. Because I think that when people start actually engaging in Thursday night debates, or like in the Phil events in general, like that's the gate into the Phil. Like if you can start participating in that, and if you start to like actively engage, then you're more likely to come back and you're more likely to like give public speaking a go. Like a lot of people do mailings and then drop out, but if like they start to see like the other aspects of the Phil before they drop out, if they start to see like the chamber debates, if they start to see like the brands or anything that we run, like when they start to see that, and then I think they'll be more likely to come back, and I think they'll be more likely to actually engage. And so that's how I do tackling it.
Yeah, it was just mentioned at the end there, and it's been a big theme in like previous races, but I was just wondering, what are both of your plans to tackle the gender balance in the chamber?
I suppose like reaching out to other societies, like Mike was saying, we do have like a certain amount of women that always seem to be speaking, and I think that a way to address that would be like to start reaching out more, because I think that like once you get more people in and you have like a wider pool to draw from, so you can like encourage more people to sign up, like maybe like reaching out to societies that are more like predominantly women, like seeing if they have like any people that would be interested in speaking, and not just to be like your women to speak, but like send it out to them so that when they send it out to their other members, like it's more likely that there are women who will be interested in it, and then like obviously addressing it. And I'd love to hold more like women, exclusively women debates. I thought that was really well handled last year, and that's something that I'd like to continue on as secretary.
So I think it's really important to directly address the issue of like gender debating and to directly address the issues that women face, because I think there are issues that are specific to women, and it's not enough to kind of just broadly reach out to people and just broadly say like you should get involved in debating, it's really great. So I think the most important thing in my manifesto that I mentioned is I want to hold workshops specific to women in debating who like have issues with confidence, who feel like they don't have like the knowledge or skills required to speak in hearing debates, because I think that's often like the biggest issue. I also want to, like, I don't think that having a gender coded for each individual debate is necessarily a good idea, because I think there are a lot of factors that mean that like some debates just that just can't happen. But I want to have like a systematic review at the end of each term where I'm saying, okay, how many women have we had in the chamber this year? Why was that? Where did those women come from? Because I think that's also like a really important thing. Like, what kind of diversity we've had, and I want to look at why those things happen, and then like make sure that the second term, if there are issues interesting, that the second term is like much better than that. I think it's also good, just like on the theme of like diversity in the chamber, I really want to just make sure that we have people from as many diverse backgrounds as possible, and not just on like the axis of gender. Like I want to have like more LGBT people in, I want to have like more people of color, I want to have more people from like lower class backgrounds, I want to have as many diverse people as possible. So to that end, like my stuff about reaching out to people, getting emails sent to people in course departments, personally contacting people I know who would do class, but who haven't signed up for whatever reason, and also my nomination system. I think they're all really good ideas to get diversity up in the chamber, because I think that genuinely makes for better debates.
Yeah, I have a question about the type of motion that we set, because I know Mike, for example, was talking about motions that we actually care about, but there is definitely a perception that the Phil and the host as well just care about a certain type of issue, and that we live within a bubble, and like those are often the debates that we enjoy the most. There's also been like a lot of criticism this year at debates that it's really clear like what our opinion is, and that people who have a different opinion are kind of shouted down. I was just wondering, what would you do, first of all, to challenge yourselves to think of motions that aren't necessarily things that you care about but that other people care about, and secondly, how will you deal with that kind of atmosphere within the chamber?
Yeah, and so that was a really big issue for me. Well, not an issue for me, it was a really big thing that I mentioned in my manifesto. Because the job of the secretary isn't to think of all the motions, and it's not to know all the issues and decide which ones are most important. It's to like curate all the ideas and pick the ones that we think would genuinely make for like the best debate and have the best attendance and things like that. So to that end, I have, like as I mentioned in my speech in my manifesto, I'm going to literally sit down personally with as many people as possible and literally just ask them, what issues do you care about? What issues do you think people need to get talking about? From like different backgrounds, ones that people wouldn't necessarily otherwise have thought like they need to have debates on. And I just want to find out what topics people care about. And because I think first of all that means that, like we get debates on those topics. Second of all, I think it means that like when we contact those people, they're more likely to want to come to the debates, and they're more likely to like feel genuinely involved with the, which I think is really good. And I also think that makes it easier when we've liaised with different kind of like course departments that are the people I want to work with. And just like in general, it means like if we're organizing like the live draft debate, or we just want to get like an email sent out to all people in the course, we're able to work with those people about it. And so sitting down personally with people to get more diverse motions, that's my main thing on that.
Okay, so there's 2 points. First of all, how we're going to like get people to tell us what issues they want to deal with, and then secondly, how we're going to get to them. So first of all, in terms of getting people to contribute, I think that just looking at a blank Google Doc being like, please tell us what ideas you have, is a bit like it's asking a bit too much, and you won't really get anything about it. But I think first of all, if we have like a kind of a time, almost like pizza and beers, and just get everyone kind of like spitballing ideas, like brainstorming. I think when everyone's kind of relaxed somewhere, when like they can say whatever they want, we get a lot of ideas out there. And then secondly, like you could organize that into like a list, and then like, you could put that out to all members and be like, please let me know what issues you'd like to do first, or just to like get a kind of consensus of what people want to do. So secondly, how I want to deal with those. I do think there's a lot of like issues that we in GMB, because we do competitive debating, we kind of like accept them as almost like we're completely true. When we have 10,000 members and we're not all like thinking the same. A lot of people have like thoughts on these issues. And I think that the way that we can kind of like deal with that is kind of like how I mentioned in my manifesto, you kind of put a spin on motion. So like 2 years ago, like obviously everyone accepts that most people think abortion is a good idea, but what they did was they did this as believes that abortion is necessary for equality. So we still got a discussion on that, but it wasn't like spinning like a very obvious this is good, this is bad. It was like slightly more nuanced. So you get people who are like in the humble bit, like you get people coming in because it's a pop culture, it's more accessible, but they're still dealing with big issues. And like I think there's a way to like mix those two so that you can like put more nuance on it, you can put more kind of accessibility, so you get more people coming in, you get more people engaging with the big ideas that we sometimes do try to like on because we all think that it's like just universal.
We have time for one more question.
So just one thing I kind of noticed at the start of the year, there was sort of as a fresher, you don't speak in the chamber until after the debates. So I was wondering what your plans would be for maybe would you encourage freshers to speak in the chamber? Like the example just now said, like if you go to talk about issues, would you encourage the freshers to participate in that?
Yeah, I think this goes back to like the workshop thing. I think that when the freshers come in, the first thing they need to do is they need to actually start engaging with it. Like, and I mentioned that if they just come in and just get an basically a lecture on how people speak, they won't really like be engaged. So I think that like more kind of like participation workshops is necessary. I think that there's going to be run in collaboration with BP, like run in collaboration with TBC, because at the end of those workshops, we'll be like, hey, you're learning something about this, would you like to sign up for these motions? This is the term code we're coming up, these are the cool things. But I think you'll get more people like actually signing up for that. And then in terms of like advertising, you get it like all the vice president emails like I send out to all the meetings so that they all have it at the end of all the meetings debates. So they also get it. I mean, I've had a huge lot of experience this year with getting freshers to engage, evidenced by this. And I think that I do have the skills necessary to like get more freshers to engage. It really just comes down to if they're higher energy, you come up and you talk to them. Some of like I certainly was very shy when I came in, and I definitely had that perception that turning in isn't for freshers. And literally, it's just about coming to people and encouraging all the council to come up to people and tell freshers that like it's okay. We absolutely encourage them, and try to get like a fresher in every debate if necessary or like if possible, just so that like everyone gets to go to this because it is an absolutely exhilarating experience and it's really like it's one of my favorite things to do the agenda speech. And I think I'd love to get more freshers doing that so that we have like the institutional knowledge that's like my class down. We get better speakers coming up, and just generally feel gets better. As a whole.
So I didn't speak in the chamber until this year because I was just absolutely terrified that I would like ruin it. I'd make the debate really bad, and the event would just be like totally ruined by me being like one of the 8 speakers at the table. And I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that there's ever been like a debate where a speaker speaking has like made the debate actively worse. But I think that is the fear that a lot of freshers have. Like the fear is that like they don't know enough about the topic or they're not like good enough at public speaking to be able to do it. So I think my plan for that is first of all like workshops, like I mentioned. And I'd have like lots of workshops on like first-time chamber speakers, specifically like the demographics that don't involve chamber speak, specifically there as well. But I also want to personally reach out to freshers. I'm glad to say that I've made debates with like most of the freshers, I think. So I think, yeah, so I'm going to personally reach out to some of the freshers, not just from the film, not just like people I've seen in the PMB, but freshers from like all areas of college and sit and say like, you know a lot about this, like I think you care about this, do you want to speak? I also have my nomination system that I mentioned where like people can put forward their friends. Like so many times I've been talking to people and they've been like, oh, like I really want to speak in this debate, but I don't want to put myself forward. But like I would feel so embarrassed to like put that person forward and then like the secretary would like say to that person, this person nominated you, they think you're good, like we want you to speak in this debate. So personally reaching out to people is really important, holding workshops is really important. Generally just like making a culture that it's obvious that freshers can change the debate and that it's open to like literally anyone. And then also like my stuff about holding debates outside of Thursday nights with other societies. And I think that that's a really good way to kind of break down the fear around like literally speaking the voting and speaking to like all these people. Like I think that's a really good way to do that. And then also stuff in my manifesto about articles. Basically one of the really big things I want to do is for people who maybe didn't get picked for a particular debate or didn't kind of feel confident enough to put themselves forward for debate, but still like really care about the topic. I want to ask those people to write articles that can maybe go up on the website, send them up to like TNUT, maybe even if it's like a big enough topic to like kind of like national newspapers, and get people talking about them after the debate so that they can still be involved in the discourse without necessarily having to like commit to a full like 7-minute chamber speech. I think those are all really good ways to get people more involved.
Let's wrap up the same tree.
Thanks for being here. First of all, Chris Costa.
Debating is something that is incredibly hard to find. For example, debating is something that is incredibly powerful. It builds confidence in individuals. It allows you and forces you to think of perspectives that you might have exclusively ruled out by randomizing when you speak on something. And moreover, it allows you to feel that you actually have something significant to say on any possible topic ever. That's why I want more people to debate. That's why I want more people to have the same experiences that I have. Because I understand that there's often this vibe that is put around debating, that it's something that's stuffy and dull and boring, and it's something that is often exclusive for certain individuals. I want to change that. I want to have as many people debating as possible, and I want to have debating something that's fun and inclusive. And that is the one thing I will focus on most of debating being is inclusivity, and try and have as many people experience debating as is possible. So, firstly, talk about inclusivity and what I want to do there. Right? First, I think a lot of the opportunities often regarding training and development are often at the extremes. They're aimed specifically at people who are debating for the very first time, or they're aimed at people who are do debating a great deal. So, in order to change that, what I want to specifically do is do things in Michaelmas term next year, like refresher workshops. So basically for people who might have done a little bit of debating, but want to get back into it or experience it, but not be turned off for having workshops that are quite technical or difficult than what they are. But also trying to constantly encourage and sell debating to people from all around the society, and to try and encourage them to do it, right? But also, I also want to make sure, right, that debating is something that's fundamentally gender inclusive, because as British parliamentary debating is suffering from, it's a fact that men seem to disproportionately do better, even though some of the best speakers are often women. So what we usually have is that we tend to have a singular workshop about women in debating, right? As I said in my manifesto, I think we need to extend that first of all to being a series of workshops providing a variety of issues that affect women exclusively in debating, but also to have like training days specifically and like drop-in debates exclusively aimed at women and bring in excellent qualified women who are able to encourage that and ensure that competitive debating for women greatly improves. I as a man probably shouldn't be running that, right? But the fact is that the Women's Open is already successfully run by the female pros of society, and again, that is something that can be done, and I would give them the fullest support in that scenario. I would also ensure that the equity teams and the CA teams with the IB and the Open are of course gender balanced. Also regarding development, as DC, I would promise that every week there would definitely be a workshop occurring within the field. Even if that comes down to me for 5 weeks where I'm doing them myself, I will guarantee that people want training opportunities, they will have them, and no matter what that is. I'll make training more interactive. So instead of just having a workshop on an issue, afterwards there would also be a drop-in debate specifically linked to that. So people would have the opportunity to learn, to debate on an issue they just learned and to experience from that. I'd regulate the program system to ensure that it was done in more regimented ways, and to ensure that opportunities are not just available to freshers who necessarily know people, but anyone can have an opportunity to specifically to get that, right? And I'd ensure that people who do make debating competitions, I went to the World University Debating Championships, and I wasn't forced to do a program. I think when people take a great deal of stuff from society, there should be an extent to which they are expected to give something back, and that's something that's fair. But moreover, I want debating to be fun. I want the IB and Open to be incredible experiences, not just for the people who come to them, but also for the volunteers themselves. That's why I work for weeks and months on end to ensure that we have the best socials, we have the best food, we have the best possible atmosphere. I'll change the format of Jesuit, which is basically now one that has won over a series of days. I want to make that a one-day competition, specifically a mini IB, just for people within the field, as a great means of bringing people together, having a good day and atmosphere. I've gotten so much from debating. It's been such an integral and important part of my life. And I want to ensure that everyone in society can get that as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Chris. And now, Michaela Culture.
This is so not ideal.
Sorry, I thought I wouldn't have time to print this.
Okay, when I joined the field, I had no idea that debating would go on to constantly challenge my worldview, give me the best friends I've ever had, and teach me more than I've learned in college so far. As next year's debates come now, I want to enable as many people as possible to have the same amazing experiences. While the field is so much more than debating, it has to be an environment where everyone who wants to get involved with debating has the ability to do so. It is the DC's job to ensure a positive, supportive culture around debating and to prevent speakers of all abilities from getting discouraged by it. We've had a very successful year for our top-level debaters this year.
But what we need to do now is to provide active encouragement and consistent support for speakers and judges of all levels. If elected, I want to ensure this by introducing a formalized program system and fixed weekly training sessions. Programs are one of the best ways to help speakers develop, and because of the lack of organization, we have not used them to their full potential in recent years. I want to organize regular program drop-in debates, like perhaps once or twice a month, depending on interest, like definitely before all major competitions, to give the inexperienced speakers a chance to like take this first-hand knowledge from a professional before these competitions. I also want to send at least 2 pro-am teams, again, depending on interest, to competitions earlier in the year, not just to like the official pro-am competition at the end of the year, like sending competitions like Cork and UCD, because that's such a great way for like AMs to learn a lot in a very quick span of time. Okay, for the weekly training, I think it's high time that the Phil introduced a consistent, coherent training and development program. I'm planning to work on this program over the summer together with like a small team of people who will help me and my pros do this training. Like these, again, will probably be people who have gone on to Euros and like gone to Worlds and like who have the need to give back to the society. This program will like include the basics of debating as well as like specific aspects like whip speeches or like dealing with certain types of debates that consistently come up like IR motions or art motions, something like that. I think this will also help tackle the gender gap in debating because men often get ahead in debating not only because they're taught to have more confidence, but also because they're far, far more likely to have received outside coaching at some point in their life. And this is important because the Phil currently just does not offer the kind of support that women would need to get ahead without this outside coaching. Apart from this, I'm obviously committed to running a great IB, Women's Open and Open, especially because convening is something I have a huge passion for. With the Women's Open last year, I've already convened a big international competition, and I'm so excited to do it again, especially given that like the IB is on an even bigger scale. I've gained invaluable experiences from the Women's Open this year, and I know exactly all of the logistics of running a competition under pressure, and like be that organizing teams, be that organizing food, crash, like to go on to like dealing with college authorities, bookings, budgeting, and much more. Like I've got it done. I also really want to make the smooth functioning of the admin role of DCM priority because like that's partly due to my compulsive need for organization, because the Women's Open famously ran 2 minutes late this year. I will focus on ensuring like easy communication, early sign-ups for external competition, and more advanced notice because that makes it really easy to attend and enjoy competitions. So what I think that the Phil needs for DC this year is someone who not only has big ideas to support speaker and judging development, but who is professional, organized, and competent and experienced enough to put these ideas into action. Thanks to the Phil, the last 2 years have been the best 2 years of my life, and now I want to use my experience and competence to help it grow into a society that is even better at caring for all its members, be that by running an exciting IB or by offering formal, consistent support to all our speakers and judges. I adore the Phil, I've got big, concrete plans for debating, and I have the energy and ability to turn into action.
So are there any questions for the DC candidates? I was out for a bit of that. Have you asked a question already? Cool, well then, Matthew first.
Yes, the funding situation for Worlds is precarious every year. Last question makes it even more changes to be like the back next to these competitions. So then we should increase our funding for that, but also not compromising on funding for competitions that everyone gets to work in the way.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to make sure we're working with CSC as good as possible, to the extent that we're able to get unnecessary funding. I also think it's also reasonable for us to look at traditional outlets like some of the UK teams do. For example, there are things like many UK institutions for us trying to develop sponsorship specific with their teams that would involve something as simple as like teams go like have their own request on it. That's something most teams would probably be willing to do. It's also making sure that like we are sensible with where we spend our funding throughout the year and other companies as well. Make sure we have necessary funding in that. And it's also making sure that we ensure that there are like when we sit down, if we were to be allocated a fourth spot this year, it might be like, oh, somewhat theoretically, like, it's better for us to send 14 instead of 30. It'll probably be better, more deal for us to send 30 to ensure that all the people in that delegation, like, we're able to go regardless of what their financial abilities are. Whereas if we send, say, like, a large potential delegation, we would be putting more financial pressure on those individuals. I think it's important to ensure that everyone's able to go regardless of like income or needs.
So I think a large part of this comes down to organization and budgeting. It's really important to like plan ahead, and that's something that I really want to focus on, is to like really allocate in advance which competitions we're going to focus on, like which competitions we're going to send teams to. This includes maybe like not sending one team to the, I don't know, St. Andrews Open just because they want to go there. I think it's also really important to like look for outside sponsorship. Like for example, when we're always women's this like this time I managed to get a grant from college, and like that just really brought in extra sponsorship as well. So I think like if you focus on that it's very possible to like achieve like a stable financial situation.
Yeah, so both of you talked about training, and particularly like training that happen like every week. Like that's not something that Phil's ever been particularly good at doing. And part of the reason for that is that we don't normally have the financial capacity to bring in trainers and people like that. So like who do you see doing that training? Like would there be any reward for that person, or would you just be kind of like the goodwill of other people and then hire a student that is running like a cohesive training schedule?
Okay, so if I get elected, I'd want to spend the summer like working on the programs instead, because I think it's really important to like know in advance what you're going to cover and like have like kind of a curriculum of what you want to go through. But how I envision it, I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. But what I'm envisioning is like have like a team of around 3 or 4 like older people maybe who like have gone to Euros and have gone to Worlds and stuff, and like who haven't like really given back to the society enough yet. Like you also want to get involved. I see like a really big role for extraordinaries in here because they often like have loads of like abilities to teach people and don't get a chance for that to like necessarily to the same extent. But I want to have like 3 or 4 people, and that way we could have like a rotating like schedule. Like you could say like 3 people in, and like the workshop like the trainings are going to be run mostly by me and my pros, but like so basically have like 3 different people. So like have from outside to actually like lead the workshops then, but like I'm gonna like work on the program and then bring someone who's like a really good player in to like actually give the workshop. I think if I have like 3 or 4 different people, that's gonna be a rotation of like having like doing like one like training session every 4 weeks, and I think that's not unrealistic to ask for someone, especially if like they are really involved in the film, they really like the film.
I agree in the context that it's probably unrealistic to expect people to go through different worlds, like give up very considerable amount of their time doing a marriage for 8 workshops. What I see is how it works basically, insofar as what we promising to do is effectively 24 workshops over the course of the 2 years. Insofar as I think the team of Provo Seed themselves, of DC with Provo Seeds could probably take around 900 themselves. Given so far that we're able to get, say, that leaves us with say the 40 point. Given so far as that we're willing to all, this year alone we have like a goodwill, say, like 7 or 8 people, since so far that covers almost half of what remains. From what is different there, I need to take a contact and probably for saying UCD, which is not so much just relying on college, but as to like the goodwill of other institutions, which is something that UCD is very successful. I think in doing so, we can bring back our framework before. Then what's important then is that those workshops are not just entirely in an abstract sense, but they're structured in a meaningful way, and they allow specifically for development, and they're like the order of them, etc. is order of reasonable way for development. I think it might seem, like the sound of having one every week might seem somewhere extreme. When we break it down, it's okay to organize 24 things individually, like in the sense like getting people and asking people to bring their expertise. Like in the same way, Ram, let's get like someone coming every week and talking about a specific issue. I don't think it would be difficult to have someone come in every week and talk about a specific issue. Like you don't necessarily have to particularly like good at the debate to have an area of expertise that is relevant to the debate that we talk about. So someone would regulate specifically on economics or on some social issues, but maybe not themselves, like people who have worked in the debate are so very relevant to get in and take them to talk about it. So I think you would manage to get like 24 workshops.
What's your opinion of sending a novice team to either Euros or World versus having a training program or some combination of those 2 things? What would you tend to do?
I'd say I would definitely want to send a novice team at least to Euros because it is like in the middle of the summer. As like the people would have enough time, like even the novice team would have enough time to like get prepare themselves for it. Like they could go to preparation competitions, take them really seriously. I don't know, like I think that training program is good, but I think it doesn't benefit. I think it doesn't like necessarily benefit people to the same extent as actually sending them to the competition because they don't get the experience of doing all the prep competitions. So I think I'd rather, like if I have to choose between them, I'd rather send a novice team than like invest in a training program.
Okay, my position on this is that it is significant, like that spot is a significant amount of money that the society spends. And as such, that decision should probably be solely made by me and people that I have to refer to the rest of the council for. But moreover on that specifically, I do actually disagree with Mark. I think probably the most important part of extending them is that training and not development, right? Regardless of whether or not we would send that team €2 or not. There will definitely be as there was last year. So when you have Euros training, because of how big the debate works, you need 14 to do it. So therefore, so even if you have A, B, and C, there's another team you need in the room. So therefore, I would no matter what, having Nava's team in that situation, doing their prepared debates, learning and developing specifically from that. One issue you tend to have with your idea of sending it on the spot is that it is a massive specific benefit that often goes to just 2 freshers. Like, development for debating for freshers should be far more inclusive than that. Especially when you consider the fact that people who are likely to get that spot are probably people with a great team experience or whatever, people who have access to things and schools debating. I think that often the issue of whether or not you're sending novice or not kind of blurs the issue that is not the most important pressing issue regarding novice development. It is far wider than that. All novices need to be considered, not just the 2 who get to go to more short story.
Yeah, so the Women's Open was set up in a year when there was like a massive wave of enthusiasm for like empowering women within debating. It's in the sense, I guess, that like there's less excitement around doing that at the moment, and like probably will continue to be slightly less excitement around that in the future. So I guess what do you guys see as the future of the Women's Open, and how do you intend to keep it fresh and keep teams coming?
I think the important thing is ensuring that that competition has specific institutional legs. When we're just setting it as being the primary, specifically from an early point, creating the event as early as possible, and making sure a massive group height is built around. So making sure it's team specifically the premier debating competition, for women, exclusively for women and non-binary in Ireland, and ensuring that is also established as being in the same way that the Trinity IB is often perceived as being the fun competition in the Iona circuit. Ensuring that the Trinity Women's Open is perceived to be the fun competition, in Women's Open, regarding women's inclusive competitions, and ensuring that it has that. But also trying to get maybe people who wouldn't necessarily be simply involved with the field, involved within the Women's Open. So I know 2 years back when these happened, we were specifically looking to get staging so people could let competitive debating, and then bring them back and you can follow as an example of that. So I think you will always get a specific amount of goodwill that will come to Women's Open over the idea that exists anyway. So it's trying to get people from other aspects of societies, and from other societies who might be interested specifically in the nature of this event, because it's something that more people would be interested in, because of what it's intended to do, and its mission, its purpose. Whereas the idea is something that's specifically not very competitive, but it's also fun. The Women's Open also has a very good purpose that also benefits debating in a way that people go these specific doesn't. I think that is the draw. And keep trying to emphasize that, ensuring the brand of that is sold early as much as possible, working with team life, ensure that that's done.
Okay, so yeah, the Women's Open is obviously very close to my heart. I do think it is a competition that has a very big draw because it is very attractive as being Ireland's only women's competition, and also because it's just it's got a pretty good reputation as it is, because all of the, both last year and this year, all of the competitors who've come have had a really good time, and we've heard people like Jesse Whalen saying that it's the best competition they've ever been to, just because what the Women's Open manages that the IB doesn't obviously doesn't manage that level because A, it's not really good behavior men, it's just really a really good relaxing environment, but it's still really delivers really high quality debating. So I think it's got the reputation good. Then secondly, I think what's really important is if you want to draw bigger numbers, which I'm not sure we need to. I don't think we want the competition to be bigger than the GMB, for example. So we're not aiming to have a competition of the same size as the IB, because it just that takes away from the atmosphere and the feasibility of it all as well. But then secondly, in terms of reg fees, what we've done so far is we've made the reg fees free. And while Nick and I did want to continue that because we thought that was really good, specifically for encouraging small institutions to come, but we would like to look into at least a system of deposits, where you pay a fee and you get it back when you actually pay up, or when you fill in pre-reg, something like that. Because what's happened this year is that a lot of institutions simply didn't pull out because they thought the reg fees were free anyway, so they didn't pull out in time to manage for us to find places, so that we had to turn away a massive number of interested people because we didn't know that institutions were going to pull out. So I think it's worth looking into a deposit system with these. And then thirdly, I think funding for the Women's Open is also very good, but I think that is something that there's always going to be interest in, because PwC, for example, really liked the idea of the Women's Open, and then college also gave us the grants to work with, which is pretty good, and which enables us to make the competition just a little bit more enjoyable, because it enables us to get better food, to get cool things and stuff like that.
Cool. Cool. Those are all the questions for DC. I think we'll move on to schools now. everyone know, the schools committee on Hustings, this will be the last contested race at Hustings, so we encourage as many people as possible to stay for this school especially, and then for the uncontested ones. So first of all, for schools, it's Hurricane.
The Phil Speaks program I went to in 4th year is the reason I'm here today. Not making this speech or even in the GMB, it's the reason I came to Trinity. It's the reason I worked my ass off, because sitting in the conversation room with a 4th year law student that I never met, I thought, these are the coolest people in the world. And so I'm going for schools because I want more people to have that experience. So let's divide the speech into 3 sections. 1, why I should be schools convener. The biggest and most important thing that qualifies me for this position is that I have experience organizing debates for schools. I co-convened 3 consecutive junior debates in my secondary school, being called back and paid to do it this year. I know what I'm doing. In this competition, we emulated the fun side of debate I'd seen from Phil Speaks. It wasn't generic, it was something exciting and new, and the kids loved it. I've been adjudicating with the JD National Masons 4th year, and doing the school circuits, I'm known by teachers. I believe this can greatly help in boosting the pre-existing reputation of Phil Speaks. Also, as an English and drama student, I believe I can give that extra bit of theatricality and pizzazz to the competition and the workshops to make it that more enjoyable and that more memorable. So section 2, what will I do? Rachel, Jenny, and Darren have done an amazing job, and I want to continue their hard work and maybe try and do one better. The more kids we have, the better the quality of debate and the more enjoyment they get. I want to achieve this by making the workshops as fun, cool, and as memorable as possible. I want to expand our social media presence to help students find out more information. And I want to redesign our resources to be as slick and hip as possible. I believe one of the key elements is debating topics which interest the kids, but also give them the chance to think about the world we live in. Finally, I want to organize a dedicated team for the outreach program. Start them as early in the year as possible and bring the fun of the workshops to a more personal and beneficial setting. Nothing should be a barrier to the confidence debating can give. The outreach program is one of the greatest elements of Phil Speaks and something which, if I elected, I would put as Team School's priority. So section 3, what can I bring to Phil Council? I was an OCM on PolSoc this year. I have the necessary experience of being on a committee and trying to make a society the best it can be. PolSoc and the Phil are 2 entirely different things, but I believe through the committee I've shown the essential skills of teamwork and organization. But I also believe I dispel the myth of the elitist nature of the Phil passed around by uninformed freshers. Being an active member of players, PolSoc, the Phil, any other society begins with P, as well as being on Grace Boyle's SU campaign team, I've shown an active involvement in student life, that you don't need to dedicate your life to one society. As the Phil's website says, we're the leading student society in the country, and this is something I would be proud to be a part of. So for a good team player, even more fun for the kids, and for someone with 3 years experience, vote for me. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Freddie, and now Amy O'Sullivan.
I think schools is one of the most important things that Phil does because it's like one of the only things that we reach out and try to do things beyond ourselves. Schools build confidence and it makes college like a more accessible reality because when students see people in college, they see that there's normal people. It's not just like, hi, I go. That's really important. Schools deserve someone who cares about it and would give it 100% all year. And I think I am that person. I've divided it into 2 things. So first of all, my plans, and then second, about myself and my experience. So my idea is I want to bring the greatness that is Phil Speaks to as many students as possible. And this is like right out in my manifesto in terms of 3 things. 1, inclusivity, and so fun. Like Phil Speaks has a reputation of being like such a great like casual vibe. People really enjoy their time there, like they enjoy going to Castle. And I would like work really hard to encourage as much as possible games like Connect Four and stuff that around place between breaks or sometimes between rounds. At the weekend, I want there to be a prize for the best team from the school that hasn't done Phil Speaks before, so we can reach out to other schools who aren't like the traditional grading schools, so that when we know those teachers and say, no, there's a prize specifically for students who like have never come before. I think that's really interesting. Yeah, then the inclusivity. I also think this is the most important thing because the effects are so tangible. I want to keep up the regional BTP and TAC workshops. Like I've been to these throughout the year. I understand how they work. I understand how effective they are. I want to maintain the fun, kind of atmosphere we can have and have them more publicised, more scheduled than ever. I also want to reach out to VDP, which like I have contacts in, and I know how VDP works, to use their expertise to go to more local schools within the area. And finally, a booklet, I want to create a booklet amalgamating all of schools' amazing resources to bring them together to make the debate more accessible. And a glossary of terms that you don't use outside the debate land. There's all this technical jargon really off-putting for people who aren't from a debating school, aren't from a debating background. If they have these terms going into the competition, they have like more of an idea of what's going on. They're not worried about sounding stupid because they don't understand the word. And then specifically, I have so much experience. I've been involved in the field for 2 years, and I'm like fully aware of the workload that comes with council. I'm fully aware that like council is more than like a Monday night meeting, a Thursday night debate. Like I understand how to work. I've seen people do it. I've been to like the BTP and TAP workshops. I was on the 1916 subcommittee festival, and I was like specifically involved with the outreach with schools there. So I know what's involved, and I have that experience. I'm organised like a balance the workload. I'm also used to working with people, working with students, and getting people involved. Like I ran ARCA this year with VDP, and our volunteers were coming 2 volunteers in the first week to 17 volunteers in January, and we actually took it back because we had more volunteers than kids. I am really incredibly hardworking, and I'm really friendly, and I care about this so much. My experience, like I really enjoy working with people. I really enjoy interacting. I think that's something that's really key in skills communities. You need to be able to connect with people on a personal level, so you can like sit down and chat with students. You can really like delegate to volunteers and make sure that the volunteers have as good a time as possible, so they want to come back and keep on engaging with schools. I care so much about schools. I know what it involves. I have the ideas and I have the experience. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Amy, and now Claudia Pryor.
Okay, so I think I've outlined how passionate I am for this role in my manifesto. I find like honestly like really genuinely difficult to condense like to just 2 pages like how much Phil Speaks impacted me like when I was in school, and the extent to which like that transformed me as a person. Like I really want school students to have the same like incredible, amazing experience that I had. I've outlined that in my manifesto too. Please go read it. Contact me if you have any questions. Like I think Phil Speaks is like so important in terms of showing what the Phil is really about, because the Phil is not just about debating, okay? It's about like allowing someone to find their voice. And I think we, in terms of like giving back, therefore have a huge responsibility in helping students to find theirs. I think Phil Speaks is like an incredibly like powerful thing. I think shows what the Phil is like really here for. And because of that, I think it's like something I'd really love to be part of. Okay, so then in terms of like what I want to do in the future, I like know I'm only a fresher, but like I think I can still like understand what the role of school commuter involves, and I also understand like what being an officer generally involves too. Like if elected, Phil Speaks and like being on council would like 100% be my priority over anything else. I'd attend all the events run by Phil and support the other officers in any way that I can. Like equally, I also understand that I would really need to rely on the contribution of other officers. And like as an officer, like next year, hopefully, the pros I would work alongside, but like the pros I work alongside, like would be in my year, and like they would be my friends. And like I think that that's incredibly important, because I think like the amazing relationship that exists between the freshers, where there's like so much horizontal cohesiveness, I think that like that would transfer into our working relationship, and that's incredibly important in terms of like just getting the job done. I also understand that like officers and volunteers for Phil Speaks like have other commitments too, so I want to create a community that people like genuinely want to be a part of. I'll ensure that like I give like months of notice to officers with regards to competitive weekends and workshops, so like it doesn't interrupt any of the plans they have, and also just make sure that we have enough people there to like make the workshops and the competition successful. And like in relation to this, like I'll promise to work extremely hard over this like the summer to secure like the exact dates and the buildings for like workshops and competitions. I think that can be like quite problematic. Like I know that like a loose hole has like closed, so the GMB is going to be used for Christmas exams. Like that's always going to put extra pressure on us in terms of like securing the building for the dates we need. I'll still like work hard every summer to make sure like we have it exactly when we need it. Like I want to get more just like in general like going with Phil Speaks. I want to shake it up. Like I want to bring back the Phil Speaks patron. I know we had David Norris 2 years ago. I think it would be like amazing to have like another like public speaker like Ivana Batic or like Ronnie Healy. I want like to get more coverage of Phil Speaks. Like I'd regularly stay in contact with like the communications office. It's like Phil Speaks like gets the coverage that it deserves. Like I want to get like a monthly newsletter to schools. Like I want a website like specifically for Phil Speaks. Like I want a monthly newsletter going out to like let schools know like what's going on with Phil Speaks. Let them know what the Phil's been going up to. I think that's also like that's important like in terms like in like maintaining like the really important relationship that we have with schools, but also like hopefully like that keeps us in the mind of school students. Like they want to join the Phil when they get here. I know like also know how important like the sponsorship that like we have from A&L good body is. Like I know they've increased their sponsorship slightly this year, and like as schools convener, I'd love to increase that even more. I'll make sure that we keep up like the amazing image that Phil Speaks already has, and to keep in regular contact with like A&L body to ensure that our great relationship with them continues. So like overall, like I just feel like I have so much like I want to do with Phil Speaks. I have like so many ideas. I want to keep up like the amazing work that team schools have already done, but like while also doing my own like ideas. I think my hard work, ethic, commitment, and like genuine like passion for schools would make me perfect to that, and I really hope.
Right, are there any questions? Or sorry, is there not?
So I have two like really practical questions. So this year on team schools, like two of our projects like didn't do as well as they should have, right? So for example, our Belfast workshop didn't happen because there was just no one wanting to go. We did email it, we did a phone call. So first of all, I want to know if you guys have any ideas on how to save that so that people from home are getting the chance to experience these things. And secondly, our BTP workshops. During the semester were under-attended, and we did everything we could to raise awareness that they were happening. So I would just like to know how you guys would go about fixing those two problems on those things.
Yeah, well, just in terms of like the Belfast thing, like I think what's really important is letting people know who like don't necessarily live in Dublin, who like don't really know what the Phil is and stuff. It's like keeping up that like the image of what Phil Speaks is. So like people like generally like want to attend it because like Phil Speaks is so cool, they're so great. Like I can't believe I have this opportunity to attend this because like that's definitely how I felt. I like went to school down the road. Like when he was about it, like I definitely think in terms of like keeping up that image, like setting up a website specifically that students could go on to, like seeing how much fun we are, like even have like student blogs on that so they can like portray how much fun they had. I think like that gets students like interested in it, and also like having like a monthly newsletter, like I said, like just to keep in mind for school, and also just like contacting schools like during summer to let them know what's going on. They like know really enough, they can put that into their plans. I think that's really important. I think in terms of like in terms of BTP, I think that like what we need is like stronger liaising with like BTP like officers and things like that. I also think like we should have I just think we should have like an extraordinary committee who's like specifically dedicated to things like TAP or like outreach or BTP, who like are like from summer onwards, like that's their job, like something like a subcommittee from BRAB, like something like BRAB, so like they can like specifically like dedicated to that. So like that can be their job, and like obviously I'd be responsible for that. But I think like it'd be like really good to just have like a specific committee who like constantly ensure that there's like always people there and like generating interest in it.
So in terms of like the Belfast and the regional workshops, I think like specifically regards to Belfast, as like there was an opportunity, maybe you could like contact the university, talk to them, see if there's any links in schools, see if anything's in Belfast, like email girls schools, and like just so you know that there is this workshop going on. I think that's really important. I also think when you put together a booklet, even if there is like a lower uptake, you can still send that booklet out like in a PDF form to every school in the country, and then every school in the country still has access to resources, regardless of like maybe if they're not allowed to take a day off school, or whether like they just don't have any teachers interested in it. With like the VTP, workshops, I think it's definitely still good for like maybe creating like more liaison, but also like having like a very set schedule. So like sending it out to the kids at the start of the week, being like, this is debating, and these are the sort of things you're going to be doing, and having like a relevant topic for them each week that will specifically interest them. Because then people be like, oh, I wasn't interested that week, but like next week we're doing like a completely different topic, so be more interested, more inclined to go with that. Also like really pushing it with like the individual tutors within VTP, like making sure they know it's on, encouraging the kids to go.
Yeah, I think, I mean, one of the biggest problems with Belfast is obviously the majority of people who go to the workshops are fourth years. And obviously having no transition year in the north, it kind of hinders the amount of people that can take time with school and teachers wanting people to take time with school. So I think one of the biggest things in organizing a date for that workshop would be to liaise with schools, see, you know, what works. Is there like a day off or something that we can work with, and obviously make it appealing to schools. As I said in my manifesto, I want to like literally post out posters and pamphlets saying what Phil Speaks is, and you know, even if the teacher doesn't want anything to do with it, they can still print it up on the board, and students can see it, and students can get engaged. And I believe that'll work again for the outreach program. And I think again, as I said in my speech, the social media presence, just so we can, you know, get people's attention, get people liking. And make it seem like it's something that people want to do, rather than having this, oh, you know, that's nerdy debating, I don't want to do that. Make it seem cool and engaging and fun, which it is.
Cool.
My first.
And so there were two students who like can't make it show for like the weekend who can't make it like take a day off to do a workshop. So I was just wondering if you had plans to make Phil Speak successful to people who like just can't make like the events that we run.
Yeah, I think there's definitely scope for that. I think as well, like if there's a large amount of schools, we can send out that booklet. We can also have like a big package put together with like stories with like videos of like all these debates or like interesting topics. And there's loads of ways you can still involve those people by just like contacting them to post, like making it really easy for teachers to have resources. So like there's a free class or something where the teacher can just like put up something like a video that's on the website. That's like an easy way to engage. Just make it as easy as possible for people to get involved.
Yeah, I think I'd be quite similar, just in terms of like just like constantly keeping them in contact, like letting them know what's going on, even though they weren't there. And then in terms of, again, like people go back to that website idea, like having a website with like resources up on it, like with videos of workshops, like with like a handbook, like all debate in terms that like students can go onto like and access easily and like not feel like necessarily that they're missing out on too much just because they didn't attend, and like just keeping them up to date constantly and communicating with them.
Yeah, I mean, what everything that's been said before, but I think a huge thing is sort of subsidizing the transport costs for the people, so we can actually like encourage them to come up to Dublin, make it as accessible as possible. You know, non-fee paying schools in the country, you know, give them more incentive to come with, you know, subsidizing accommodation or things like that, or even something like the Pro-Am is much easier because it's a one-day competition, so there's no necessarily a need to stay in Dublin. So we can really encourage people from all across the country to come to that.
Yeah, so every year in the Pro-Am there's always like a group of schools that do those debating and the students know what's going on, and then you always have a few students from other schools who aren't used to debating and generally understand it, and I think it can be quite an alienation experience for them sometimes. So I think we can be any plans to try and make the transition for them as easy and try and make them feel as included as possible.
Well, yeah, in my manifesto I had it because I was like that. I didn't start debating until I was in fifth year. The Pro-Am was my first ever competition, and like a girl literally came up to me and was like, "Let's send out open office and destroy them, haha." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's terrifying." It's like I had an idea, like just having like a competitive weekend specifically for people who, like before the Pro-Ams and before the actual competitive weekend, like specifically for people who have never debated before, so they're on the same boat. They see like how the competition runs, they see like how it works, they know how like feedback works, and then they then have that confidence of going in and like, well, actually, like I'm not a novice, I have debated before, I know how it works, and like, I think like that's really important, specifically as well in schools who like aren't necessarily as involved in debating as like the usual schools are. To like just have a special weekend just for them, to like make them feel as comfortable as possible. I think that's like incredibly important.
I think one of the things that works really well in my Bs is having the idea of like a maidens final, and having that within the competitive weekend, have a break specifically for people who've never done a schools competition before. I know sometimes we do with the best first-time speaker, but I've been having a proper final for these people. Obviously, if there's enough teams in the competition, which hopefully there will be, have a final for these people to show, you know, that it is possible to do well, that you don't have to have lots of experience, and that it's not something intimidating.
Like, especially to guys like the social aspect and like people like the military groups. I think like I mean last year, like, the first time I went to those weeks, everyone kept talking about break, and I was like, what? What is breaking? What is this? Like just like really simple terms like that just make people like so much easier. Like so many people are talking about the breaks, you don't have to go like an idiot and be like, what are you doing? And stuff like that's like really important. Also just like making sure volunteers like pros are just making you aware of like someone sitting on their own. I think a lot of it is like day to day, like on the day, just making sure everyone's really involved and like being useful, like feels like they can ask questions.
I know there's kind of this idea that all school debaters are like privileged outsiders. And like I was thinking, like, what do you have any ideas of how to kind of tackle that, or to like kind of bring people from like further out, or like it's difficult for them to say train, and like just for like girls who like have inexperienced. Do you have any ideas of like how to tackle that, and then how to kind of make sure that they don't feel when they get in here that they're always at a disadvantage and they're always competing against kids who've had just the upper hand?
Well, I think that's one of the most important things with the workshops is saying that, you know, debaters can come from anywhere. And I think, as you said, privileged Southside schools, quite a lot of them have been debating since first year. They have this opportunity. So I believe the workshops shouldn't be for people that have been debating all this time, because they essentially know what they're doing. It should be for people that, you know, for schools that, you know, are new to debating, or that start debating in fourth year, they're just kind of getting things going, and really encouraging people from all across the country to come to workshops. And maybe that's one of the great things, is that it is kind of
nationwide. And I believe we should expand that and just kind of open it to as many people as possible. I think we have kind of a list of emails that we just email out. And I think we need to work as hard as possible to find as many new schools as possible and work to get them involved.
Yeah, again, like reaching out to teachers, having like that extra advice, like I said, my math best for a team or school that we send to people for. I think as well, like the great thing about those speeches that is more than just competitive debating, it's like a weekend before bench classes. So really emphasizing that, like it doesn't matter if you're not like the best reader, where they can still come, they can still have like a really fantastic weekend. And then as well to just like follow up with all the schools really specifically explaining that it's okay if like they've never heard of debating before, sending them I've let them know about the workshop. Just really push that like this is a thing for everyone and it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with like what Fairly Annie have said, like also like just in terms of like expanding out to like more public schools, like letting them know exactly what's happening. And also that like something I've had mentioned to me like by past schools from here is like a stronger link with like things like VTP and TAP. So like after like workshops that we give them or like and like we see like they have like enthusiasm that we ensured like to like email their schools and be like, this person has showed such enthusiasm, we have this workshop on, like please send them, like specifically naming them, and like that like boosts their confidence because they'll actually want to come and go up against like Southside like schooly elitists. And like also like just it like generates more interest like within the schools to be like, okay, like they actually have like a genuine interest in our students, like that's something that we like want to send like them. So I think that's like incredibly important, like stronger links with VTP and TAP.
Cool. Jenny, and then Tigran already have their hands up, and then we might move on. Maybe at the very end if we have more questions.
So I have two questions. First is that like, while a lot of the ideas are really interesting and really good, unfortunately, team schools has like quite a limited budget and also quite a limited amount of manpower. For example, the fact that we have to coordinate the entire youth council and council each time there are specific jobs and roles. I was wondering if you could maybe give me what your priority would be going forward, or your like new ideas that you presented, what would be like top of your list, just if practically say you're going to achieve all of them. And then my second one is like linked with that is just how you see going forward like communication with the council about schools projects, because a lot of the time you're kind of tagged on the council as like effective. So I was just wondering what you do on those stuff.
Yeah, well, like in terms of like communicating with council, I think like from like the start of summer onwards, like we need to have like really set specific dates, like months in advance of when they actually are. So council, like the bond council, kind of step that aside and like it's like they can't back out like a week before because they've known for months that this is happening. Like I think like that's really important. Like just setting like a really secure date in terms of that. So I think like my priority is like and like I think like ropes and all the other things, it's just like inclusivity. I think we've all shown that like debating can be like incredibly elitist, incredibly like sometimes like privileged thing. So like I think probably my priority would be like stronger links with VTP and TAP, like more like inclusiveness in terms of like public schools that necessarily haven't been involved maybe before. I think that links in with like novice competitive weekends and things like that. So I think like inclusivity would definitely be like my priority.
I think my priority would be putting together like all the highlights and all the games some schools already have like on Google Drive and like that philosophy together in the book, because like basically like that's cheap, it's free. You can do it yourself on the computer like and get like libraries and easy, and then that would then like extend to like more inclusivity sending out. In regards to like the council thing, I think giving first of all like the expectation that schools is really important, because it is like one of the most important things that the bill does in terms of like its long-term effects and like people, especially from disadvantaged areas, just like physically going into college and seeing that they need to do and like it's not a scary thing. So I think just like making it priority, like giving people and just that expectation that the schools is really important. I think that will.
I think for me, the priority is kind of the weekend itself, making it as fun as possible, as engaging and as memorable as possible, because I believe in the future that can help more people with the outreach program. We can show the videos, we can have people saying this is a good, fun weekend, because I believe we can put in lots of resources into the outreach program, but if we have kind of nothing to show for it, it kind of falls a bit flat. So I want to kind of have this weekend where everyone can see the debating is fun and exciting, and that would be my priority. In regards to just getting it sort of to the forefront of council, I know you said it's kind of left to the last. I think it's important just to kind of, I believe I can make my voice be heard in council and say, we need to just get this done now so I can move forward and, with my pros, work on something. I'm good at keeping to a schedule, so I'm going to be like messaging everyone saying like, please talk about this. Yeah. Cool.
Just to make sure we get through the four, so that's all the contested officers done now. Just make sure we get to everyone else. Maybe all 4 uncontested officers just do your speeches, and then questions for all 4 you can have them at the end. Just so we hear a bit from all of them before we move. Which one to go first here? Oh, sorry. No, it's fine. Yes, so Colin first, and then we can have Sheila, and then Kerry, and then Claire, and then we can have questions for any of them at the end.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Colin, I'm running for treasurer, and as I was saying at the start, it's kind of an unusual situation to be in because you can't even vote for me if you wanted to, but it's democracy in action, it's the talk that counts, I suppose. So then why do I want to be treasurer? So I want to support council and brand as much as I can, so that teams can do what they do best, without having to worry about things like funding or like stuff like that. So they can pursue all the exciting projects that they planned, the great events that they want to organise, and I want to be able to facilitate that. So I divided my manifesto and speech into 2 main areas, which are making money and spending money. And I'd encourage you all to read my manifesto and stuff, because I did spend loads of time on it as well. So making money then. So sponsorship, I'll work hard to secure sponsorship as soon as I can get access to the account to get going on that over the summer. I'm going to be in Dublin for most of the summer, so I'm willing to put the time into making comprehensive proposals and doing pitches and emailing sponsors, that kind of thing. I think my experience in Team Live in making proposals and drafting, using InDesign software like that would be very helpful for me in that regard. And then I'm happy to meet sponsors, and I think I perform quite well in meetings like that. And I understand what they want, what they like about the film, what's kind of our major selling points. And I want to be able to secure the best deal possible for us as a society, so that we can run as many events as possible and have as much funding and have a good time as possible. And that's kind of what I'm about there. So I think events like the pitching competition with PwC and stuff like that in their offices went well. And I would encourage things like that going forward as well. I possibly even encourage more things like workshops in the GMB concerning things like internships or applications or public speaking, welcoming more things like that, more engaging with their sponsors. I think that's very important. They also look for individual sponsorship for things like the Trinity Ivy or Phil Speaks or Brown Soccer Club, stuff like that, so that we can get, subject to the terms of our headline sponsors, I'd look for additional sponsorship for that. And I'd also like to apply for grants available to us from CSC and other funds as well, so we can use and maintain our facilities here and keep improving them as we go forward. Then on to spending money. I hope to set out a provisional budget based on previous years when I get access to the accounts, and I've locked down funding and got headline sponsorship and all that. I want to sit down with officers and work out their plans for the year and how we can make it happen, how we can make all their projects happen, and plan that out with them and have a very clear, concrete plan. I want to be as successful as I can be. I'm hoping to do office hours, so I'm hoping before a debate on Thursday, maybe people can come to me with checks. I want to be able to reimburse things quickly and conveniently as possible. Maybe after council on Mondays or stuff like that, so we can get things done in a clear and organised way. And then finally, I might as well just use this opportunity to say that if anyone's interested in being part of Team Tresh, it's just me at the moment, and I would like to have someone else to work with. So yeah, I think if you're interested in interacting with sponsors, businesses, getting ads for philanderers, doing stuff like that, getting deals hard, it's a very practical job, and it's very out there in the real world. So if you want to find out more, have a look at my manifesto. You guys have all the ideas. I want to be able to make them happen. So I think I have the skills to make them happen. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And now your next registrar, Sheila.
Hey, so I'm here to just give a speech basically so you just get used to the fact that you're going to have to hear my voice a lot because you don't really have a choice, so look at you. So, when I came to Phil, not only did I deem myself the coziest fresh out Galway IB, I also found a group of people who are just as mad as I am, and I kind of couldn't believe that this excessively loud, dramatic drama student, funny that, it was so welcomed and embraced by everyone. And I think that's something that I'll always remember, and something that I will definitely hope to bring to old and new members, it doesn't matter. So, what am I actually going to do? So, in terms of the minutes, right, so I was I'm gas. I'm really funny. I know it. You know it. And even if you don't, there will be someone laughing every week that they're at the joke, and that's me. So that matters. And I do promise that, unlike Ian, I'll actually use my face when I speak. But anyway, to get a little serious for just a second, I do think I have an unusual sense of humour. I think it slightly pushes the boundaries, and I think you can't do that with comedy. Where can you do it? I think it breaks down the tension that we see around film. I think the fact that people associate with it's not just actually there. I think that like the fact that MCs were given the opportunity to give minutes this year was fantastic. We saw some brilliant girls, females getting up and giving speeches, which was fantastic, and like showed that it's not just men that can do this. Because that's been the tradition, and I definitely would like to continue that on. In terms members, look, like I study how to turn the charm on. I can do that. Like I will get in contact with the alumni office. I want to be able to send these out to our old members. They left such a fantastic society for us at our disposal, and they deserve the right to know what's going on. In terms of that, I would like to send out, just like Keane did, a review at the start of Hillary that will show what we've done and things like that, and what's going to happen. But also maybe at the start of the year, just what the manifestos of the officers who got elected, determine what the council is for the coming year. Like a philander, but slightly altered, obviously. Can't wait to get my hands in philander, by the way. In terms of the debate, I really want to get in contact with the secretary very early on. We'll organise a date. As we saw this year, we had a really successful and honouring members debate, despite the vaping in my face. So we'll get that underway straight away, so that we can have as many people here as possible. I mean, which people really loved it this year. There's no reason that I can't do that at the start of the year. I have a very long, boring summer. I have nothing else to do. I will continue to try and digitalise the records. I will not promise that I'll get them all done, because that's just not feasible. I don't want to make a promise that I really can't keep, but I will make an effort to get as many up there as I can. In terms of the lecture register, I don't think that my hilarity will really serve much there. It's not very creative, that part of the job, but I'll keep it up to date and I'll stay on top of it. My time manager with Team Stu has proved that I can do that. In terms of the media, we've got a lot of media coverage this year. It's very important when we've got guests coming to the field that we know what's being said about us, we know what they could possibly bring to us, so we need to know what articles are out there about us, we need to know what people are saying about us, and I will definitely document all that. Just to finish up, I'm so happy that in the year of Awakening Feminists, that a woman is going to be the female registrar. I'm just so proud that I can stand up there and show that we don't take ourselves too seriously, thus meaning we're not funny. This coming from the girl who has an alter ego called Jazzy K and could hotel all over her face and pretends to be a whore one time. In terms of being on council, I think despite all the booming voice and the big personality, I'm very easy to come and talk to. I do care about everyone. I think you can come to me with a problem and I will advise you, and I will be there to look out for you. And if you're not convinced by this, vote for the other candidate.
Librarian Terry.
I'm not be the third of four people to tell you that tough shit. But I would just like to actually run through a few of the ideas that we have so you can get hyped for next year, which will essentially be my job for the next year. So the first thing is the website. I know you're all probably just so fed up at this point of everyone being we're just gonna get there eventually, guys. But I know it's mentioned in the presidential race, the thought of outsourcing. I think even at that point is still such a huge job for the librarian. Even just looking at updating bios for the development that we've had in the last few years. So adding the pro-am to the school section, and even small things, they're changing Maggie's to Jezza's. A huge part as well of librarians going to be working with Con as treasurer, so that you guys can do, and so whatever council is next year can do everything that they want to, and also so that we can then get the people to come, and that'll be my side. So I'll also be going around with Con helping for sponsorship proposals, so sponsors see that they can get a lot of publicity for the money that they're giving us. So we want it to seem really attractive, that their faces or that their banners are going to be beside some really huge on-pads on some really big important debates, some real feisty ones as well. I'm sure everyone would want to be sponsored in that Brendan O'Neill debate. Also for the word brand, these are kind of things that just require just a bit of man work, which I plan to do over the summer. I'll be here and I'll be doing it just so we can kind of get the train going on that. So brand, we also want to document it. I think just working with brand to see exactly what they want to do, because obviously it is quite a difficult thing and it does have to be negotiated on their terms. So like there is scope to do like YouTube and podcast website, like there's a blog section on the website, but I think it actually potentially be really well utilized to do it. Like it's currently used mostly for like DC things, which needs to be developed as well. But like I think there's also scope to have like subsections within that, just so that like sponsors or on-pads can see that. Again, as well, like posters, I think as well with posters, I know there's been kind of talks about like poster runs and stuff. Like personally, I don't believe that the poster run is how people actually see posters most of the time. It's much more important to get it up on social media, on the website, on literally everything we can as fast as possible. Like ideally, we'll have like deadlines set, like obviously we will for like when stuff has to be in so we can get them up. Like people know that there's still debate on a Thursday night, but most people actually see get excited about it when they see it online. It's good to still have the posters around, but that probably won't be my priority. I'll try to really, really focus on social media. As well, like I think there's scope to like set up an Instagram page. I joked around with Tinder for a while to be like, hey, want to come to the debate, maybe do something like that's a genuine idea. Like what else am I doing lectures anyway? As well, like just on YouTube, I think as well, I watched YouTube loads before I made my ladies' rights because I just, even though you've watched loads of debates, it's really difficult to get a sense for the crowd until you're doing it yourself and like what goes down well, and because ultimately you do just want the laughs and a bit of applause at the end of the day. I think that's another really good resource for guests as well, that we should be sending them links in our emails, and we'll be working with Team Second Press to do that. And yeah, I think that's kind of the gist.
And the final candidate to host is your next steward, Claire.
So, like all the others said, it's too late to reopen nominations and too early to impeach. To jump straight to it and just get right into my plans for 332. So, bonding trip. Last year's was really good, so there's not much I would change about it except look at making it a little bit cheaper. Freshers Week. There's potentially going to be a restructuring of Freshers Week this year, which means that shorter days will allow us all to really give it our all and like be more discerning about the timetable and the events that we can pack in. Which means that I will need to contact other societies as soon as possible about potential collaborations, and I will contact extraordinaries as soon as possible so that as many people as possible are in front square in the maroon during the week. I will liaise with other societies as soon as the timetable goes out to swap tickets for night events so people can go out as much as possible without being under financial pressure to buy tickets for events. Freshers Week can be a baptism of fire, so it's really important that everybody is really in the know and in the loop. So I will have a full briefing meeting with my pros before the week so that they know everything that's happening at all times. I will send out the timetable a week beforehand. I will have a briefing meeting before the Walls Fair and every morning thereafter during the week so everyone knows what it is on that day that they need to tailor the pitch for, whether that's like guests or club filth or whatever. I will be contactable and on site at all times during the week so that I can deal with any problems or anything that arises rather than leaving it to somebody like an MC or anything even it's like to use snow sports being hassly again. I will, where is it? Club filth. Yeah, I think club filth is really important that we put as much into it this year as we did last year so that we have like a really strong brand and presence from the outset, and I would love to collaborate with TAF again on that if that's something that they're into. Buildings and security, we are really lucky to have the GMB and we need to put in work on our end to keep it all ticking over smoothly. So in terms of security, I'm going to conduct a meeting with security during the summer so that we can build up trust and communication so we can have a good working relationship with Jim and Joe. I will consult with them regularly to see what we can do on our end to make their lives easier, thereby preempting problems and getting more flexibility and trust with the building. And then in terms of the building, just general kind of maintenance, like paint the chamber, get the lock on the council room door sorted, look into more long-term storage solutions like the stew chest for storing things like old philanders and that kind of thing, regular clean-out days during the year to stop things building up and it being like a big task, and a large clean-out over the summer. And then in general, just promoting like respect for the building and the furniture, and like putting a blanket ban and stuff like the football inside. Like we are really lucky to have this building, so like we're not going to jeopardize that by being stupid and like messing around and stuff. So just good respect for the building because we are really lucky to have it. Thursday nights, if minimal alcohol pricing comes in, I will, and even if it doesn't, I will shop around over the summer to try and see what we can do to get the best possible drinks deal. I will promote a really strong room presence on every night out and try and vary nights out as much as possible so that we cater to people who like club nights and people who like relaxed things in the pub. So we have just a good variety and it doesn't kind of become like repetitive over the course of the year. And one thing that Sheila and I did at the debate receptions this year was have non-alcoholic drinks, which is something I'll continue. In terms of the events, Phil Ball, definitely want to keep that, definitely want to keep it lavish and the food at it. Further afield, want to keep it as a mystery tour, more fish free than Phil Ball. Halloween, I think that's something that there's a lot of scope to bring freshers in because social events are easier to come into, I found anyway, than like maybe debating events. So if we just publicise Halloween more, then we can get people into the GMB who may not already have been in. In terms of my pros, I want to give loads of creative input into Phil Ball and further afield, and just pitch in general, like behind the bar, receptions, all that kind of thing. And I think that it's through stuff like social events and other things the STU does that we can get people in the door of the building and break down kind of the pretensions and the other kind of negative perceptions that people have about the Phil. So I really will give my all to the role. Thank you.
Cool. So are there any questions for the four officers elect at the end there?
I can for Terry.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, it's been mentioned a lot like about the website and like you said that you want to outsource that and you have like plans for it. But like what exactly do you see as the role of the website? And like who exactly do you like see yourself outsourcing it to? And do you think it's like potential for like say an extraordinary or like an interested HNC or something to take that on board?
Yeah, I think at this point there's no concrete plans for like outsourcing. I definitely want to look into like how much I could physically do myself. But I do think there is like I'd be so happy if any extraordinaries, this is the offer now, if they want to help out at all. Like I'd genuinely be so happy with that. I think there's scope depending on like who my pros are, depending on what their capabilities are. Like I know I'm not a computer programmer, but the reality of it is that like we may need to do that. But I do think that there's still so much I can do myself. Like there's so many just like really basic things that need to be done now. It's just like generally like a revamp. Like even it just doesn't look like lively. Whereas I think once you just like pump in like a bit of colour, make it a bit more maroon, because we do that with everything to solve our problems. And then just like kind of work within that. And in terms of like the role of it then, I see it being mostly for on-pats and sponsors. Like realistically, we all are on Facebook. It's mostly for people that aren't on social media. So I do think that is a really sizable role. Like most, the people in PwC or like ANL Good Body don't look us up on Facebook. They go to the website. So once we have that in place and we have that as like a suitable infrastructure, I do think that then it'll start to be used more once we actually invest the time in it. But was there another point?
No.
And I did get a question for one of the other officers. Go for Manus.
The question is two questions for Claire. Claire, how would you approach the kind of everything going on where you have to run every single mandatory background? And Carrie, how would you tackle the perception rightly so that you're going to spell all of our friends and afraid that some people turn off notifications for you?
I don't think that's a Phil's fault.
I just got that.
Like that's kind of thing that is encouraged but definitely not enforced. Like there's often a few people every week who are holding the fort. So I think it's important that we vary it. So like we might go to a club night one week and then go to a very different kind of club night the following week, or to a pub, and just keep it varied so that people want to go out. Like it's not beyond, like I think it's really important as well that it's not just up to the pro students to kind of hold the fort, and it's not up to the same people all the time. So I think the way to keep it fresh and keep people wanting to go out is to just keep it varied and just be on the lookout for good club nights, good pubs, good places to go to so that people want to go out.
And then personally, I would rather people feel like they know too much about the field than too little. I think that there's probably like scope to like decide when we update cover photos or like when we post things, and so that it's not just all at the one time. So it's not just like a huge blockage. Because I think that's when people actually
or just like, oh, on like whatever night that like everyone's cover photo has changed. Like try and stagger that so much. But like personally, I would rather people know too much than too little. I don't think that's the major issue with keeping. I think we should actually have more stuff on social media actually.
Any questions ideally for Con or Sheila, but also
this one goes out to my boy Con. So the treasurer's role includes overseeing the pool and snooker rooms, and over the past few years those haven't been monetized. However, there's sometimes pressure from people like Poolsoft who rent the pool room to, or the other society who have some kind of right to that room, I suppose, to do. So I suppose, what's your vision for those rooms?
I think that's quite an interesting one. So I think Mr. Stefan did a very good job improving the pool room this year, but like creating the tables and that sort of thing. So we're definitely looking at that sort of stuff. But I really don't have any particular plans to monetize or that's or like put people on shifts if they're managing the room, because I just don't think like I think it's like a nice thing to provide for our members, and like people can go up there and kind of bring it from into the field in like a more kind of relaxed atmosphere. I think that's something that maybe we might be making a profit of that necessarily. I think it's a nice service that we provide for our members, and definitely brings a different group to the field as well. And all the favourites.
Is there any question for Sheila? Actually, are you going to do a pro reg? Hasn't been done the last few years.
Yeah, so I do think about that, but I would like to take from another team something that, like, with the fact that I think I would have time management and a lot of it is admin stuff and things. I don't. If someone really wanted to be on the weekend, yes, and I would give them responsibilities and even divide it up. But I would never take from another team like that would be the pressure.
Any other questions for anyone?
Yeah, mine is super great. Sorry. So one thing that I noticed this year was that a lot of kind of branding of the field across different platforms and different teams and stuff was really inconsistent. So like an invitation you might send to a guest would look like really different from like a post you put on social media. So do you think that's like something that runs us, and do you plan on doing anything to make that more consistent next year?
Yes, and I probably look into it. I don't think like uniformity is the most important issue. I think for me, actually, it'll probably be like effectiveness. So making sure that like when something goes up on Facebook, it goes up on the YouTube, it goes up on the website, like it goes up on everything. And I'd say that will probably end up addressing your issues anyway. And that like if once you're like making sure everything goes up on everything, it'll probably like solve that disconnect. But like I'm happy to like fix that link. Like I'll say it now.
Any questions for anyone? So that's all the hustings done, and then in terms of other announcements, we probably got the electoral register tonight because we have it. That'll be provisional because there's a debate tomorrow, and then appeals will come in over the next few days. And also we're gonna get kind of that sheet the candidates have to sign.
Every candidate has to sign a declaration.
Yeah, we'll put that up tomorrow. It'll be on the notice board. So everyone running for election has to sign a declaration of compliance with the laws. And
canvassing rules are still in place.
Yep.
So don't, please. That's the rule. Don't canvass. Not do.
And any questions or anything? Cool. Thanks, everyone. Oh yeah. Yeah. What did you have a question for schools?
Yeah.
Or sorry, schools people here.
Sorry. Yeah, so like my question was integrating the operational processes of us starting like at the university level, but oftentimes I think higher students happens at a secondary school level. I'm wondering what you guys' plans is to kind of tackle that, or if you have any plans, or if you think it's an issue that you would like to
yeah, just for me, like
is equal as possible, and it doesn't really matter in regards to debate, it's equal for both genders. And I think kind of going on from what Amy was saying, emailing as many all girls schools as possible, and really encouraging them and being encouraging as possible. And just to, as I keep saying, get the word out to as many schools as possible.
And to answer the question about asking candidates questions just in general over the coming days, just to clarify for people, this hustings and manifestos are kind of intended to answer all the questions you can about candidates. So feel free to ask like Con, Sheila, Kerry, and Claire any questions you want because they're already elected. So if you want to know anything about their platforms, that's fine. But yeah, just try to do try to just get all your information on the other candidates from today and from reading their manifestos in general. Yeah.
Yeah, also as well, if you are interested in being like pros for any of us as well and you want to know more about what the job would entail, like I'm sure we'd all love for you to talk to us.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can ask any of them for information. They're effectively elected. Well, they are. Cool. So that's all.
Hello, live stream. Okay, stop broadcast. Bye.